PFF free agency update powered by PFF Elite. Sam, Ndamukong Suh is going to be released by all reports. Miami Dolphins, they got 3 really good years out of him. What exactly are they doing here? Saving money, losing a really good player? What's the deal?
That contract worked out about as you'd expected. They got the best 3 seasons of Ndamukong Suh's career. If anything, he was a better player in Miami than he was in Detroit. The last 3 years, he had 60 total pressures, 58 total pressures, and then 43 total pressures, as well as a whole bunch of defensive stops, the best play against the run of his career. But that monster contract they signed him to was just too big of a squeeze on their cap overall, and now they're getting out. And one of Steve's favorite players in the entire league, safety Bradley McDougald, is signed back with the Seattle Seahawks. Steve, you've got some time. Tell me about your boy.
I've always had a soft spot for McDougald. Always seems to really show well when I watch him, especially. Yeah. But look, he's landed as a league average safety, and that's what he was last year, 77.3 overall grade. Pretty nice move by Seattle, bringing him in as kind of a Cam Chancellor insurance policy. And he plays that role well. That's where he's at his best, near the line of scrimmage, where he can play the run pretty well, even though he had his ups and downs last year. Covers tight ends. So as long as he plays that strong safety role for Seattle, it's a good fit. And again, he's a guy that's generally around average, which is valuable in the NFL when it comes to safety play. So I like McDougald, like what he can do. Makes a lot of big plays in the pass game, as you can find in our free agency guide. We broke it all down for you, but it gives up some big plays as well. It has to cut down on those. Yeah,
particularly when you're talking about backups, there is serious value in just being a league average player. When teams have to go into the bench, those are the guys that need to be average or better to stop there being a significant drop-off. So the Seahawks bringing back one of their talented backups, a guy that's well capable of deputizing for Cam Chancellor, good move.
And it's all about Zach Strief right now, former Saints offensive tackle, retiring today officially.
Yeah, great career for Zach Strief, a guy who was always underrated throughout his entire starting tenure. From 2011 to 2016, basically his entire time starting for the Saints, he was arguably the best right tackle in the entire league and perennially underrated. People never gave him the credit that he deserved. Over his entire career since 2006, the guy allowed just 30 sacks.
Yeah, Saints fans used to always ask me why we graded Strief so well, and I think it's because no team, no fans really appreciate their right tackle. So let's appreciate Zach Strief today, one of the better right tackles in the NFL over the last few years. Ryan Ramczyk stepped in and did a great job last year, and it's a very good replacement for one of the league's best in Zach Strief. Sam, the Kansas City Chiefs have released Tambaha Lee, one of the best edge defenders in the entire PFF era, limited to only 116 snaps last season.
Really was. He actually leads the NFL in the PFF era. The last 12 seasons has the most total pressures of any player in the National Football League, 663, one ahead of DeMarcus Ware. That 2010 season of his still ranks as the second best season we've ever graded for an edge defender, trailing only Robert Quinn's incredible year. And that year he had 103 total pressures, including the playoffs. The only player to ever surpass that over a season, J.J. Watt.
It's all about the Cordy Glenn trade. He's going to be going from the Buffalo Bills to the Cincinnati Bengals. Did the Bengals shore up their left tackle problem?
Yeah, I think they have to have. I mean, Glenn has been a very good player as long as he's been healthy for Buffalo, but that's been a bigger issue the past couple of seasons than it was earlier in his career. He played basically every snap for 3 straight seasons before struggling with injuries the past couple of years, but he allowed 4 sacks over the past 3 seasons combined. Even if you factor in the lack of playing time the last 2, it's way better than what Cincinnati have had at offensive tackle.
We keep saying that the league has a tackle problem. Cordy Glenn potentially solves that for the Cincinnati Bengals. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills may be moving up to go get their quarterback. They're going to move up from 21 to 12 in that first round. Keep an eye on the Bills moving up to find their QB of the future.
Kansas City Chiefs make a big signing Anthony Hitchens at linebacker.
Yeah, this is an interesting move. Derek Johnson, 35 years old. They need to find the future at inside linebacker with the Chiefs. But Anthony Hitchens is a little like Reggie Ragland, who's already there in terms of being a 2-down player. A little bit of question marks about how he can play against the pass in coverage, where Derek Johnson was so good. But against the run, Hitchens had the 2nd highest run stop percentage in the entire league last year among linebackers, 14.5%. Huge number. With those two, they should be set against the run, but who's going to cover the pass?
You heard it here first. Investing in the future. Hitchens to KC. We got quarterbacks on the move. First quarterback domino to fall. Case Keenum intends to sign with the Denver Broncos. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this looks like a great move. If the numbers being reported are accurate, he's in the $18 to $20 million a year range, which is a steal given the quarterback market at the moment. And the fact that Kirk Cousins may be at $30 million a year. The big key for the Broncos is, can Case Keenum repeat what he did a year ago with the Minnesota Vikings with a better supporting cast around him? He was fourth in adjusted completion percentage last year, 76.5, led the league in completion percentage under pressure, 55.7, and he was second best in sack rate when he was pressured. So he was able to get rid of the ball even when the pressure arrived. The Broncos need him to repeat that kind of performance if he's going to be worth this kind of money.
Absolutely. Does John Elway have his guy? If Case Keenum can repeat, maybe he does. Sammy Watkins signs a monster deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. Going deep ball, what do you think?
Yeah, another weapon for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. Sammy Watkins is kind of flattered to deceive. Was really the only guy that didn't excel with Sean McVay as his head coach. We didn't see a big boost in his production, but he had the highest wide receiver rating of any of the receivers in that Rams receiving corps. 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception when they were targeting Sammy Watkins. One concern was the deep pass. He led that team in deep targets with 16, but only caught 3 of those balls, albeit for 145 yards. So there's still talent there in Sammy Watkins, and a guy that Patrick Mahomes is going to find open deep, but will we ever see him reach the potential that we've seen from him in the past?
Yeah, Mahomes, Hill, Watkins, that's a lot of deep threats. I'm excited. Big splash signing. Allen Robinson going to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, we called this a couple of months ago when we first started looking at free agency. The Chicago Bears desperately need wide receiver help. Allen Robinson was the best wide receiver on the market. It just made too much sense not to happen. If you look back a couple of seasons ago, Allen Robinson was the best deep threat in the entire league, had 45 targets on go routes alone, gained 700 yards just on go routes. He is the deep threat for Mitch Trubisky to throw to, and the guy is only going to turn 25 in August. By the start of this season, he's still a young receiver. So it's been a while since we've seen his best play, but this could be huge for that Chicago offense.
That Trubisky-Robinson connection for years to come. Big news today. We got Adam Schefter reporting Andrew Norwell going to the Jags. Talk to me about this deal, Sam.
Yeah, I love this deal. I actually give a huge amount of credit to the Jaguars front office because people were giving that offensive line a lot of credit last year. They were saying they were one of the offensive lines of the year because they ran for so many yardage, but it wasn't good. The guards combined to allow 53 total pressures and 5 sacks last year. Andrew Norwell didn't allow a sack or a hit all season long, gave up just 13 total pressures. Leonard Fournette and Chris Ivory in that backfield were given 380 carries, and they averaged just under 4 yards a clip, 2.5 of which came after contact. So it's a monster upgrade on that offensive line, a big deal for that running game.
That's good news for Blake Bortles. That's good news for Leonard Fournette. That's good news for the Jags.
Sam, the Arizona Cardinals have got Sam Bradford coming in for 1 year, $20 million, an option for a second year. What are your thoughts on the deal?
I think it's the right kind of contract for Sam Bradford. You could make the case that after Drew Brees, Sam Bradford had the highest quality of play of any of the available quarterbacks, including Kirk Cousins. The thing is, you just don't know that he's going to be healthy. Looked fantastic in week 1 this season against the Saints. Came out of that game, nothing was amiss. Turned out he'd injured his knee. What was supposed to be a minor injury ended up dragging out for weeks. They put him out for one more game. He didn't make it to halftime before being shut down for the season. So a great move if he can stay healthy, but that is a huge if these days.
Yeah, Bradford has been fragile, but his last 2 years, 86.2, 83.4 in PFF grades. High upside move for the Arizona Cardinals. Sam, it looks like the New York Jets are trying to finalize a deal with Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe they missed out on some of the first few quarterbacks, but what are they getting in Teddy B?
Yeah, really the last viable option left on the open market. Teddy Bridgewater, though, does represent genuine franchise quarterback upside, albeit with massive question marks about what he is now, coming off that devastating knee injury, but also how much of that performance we saw before, the conservative streak from him, was actually him, and how much of it was a product of that old Minnesota Vikings offensive system. I think Bridgewater could be a better quarterback than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, he had a pretty solid start to his career, and if he's healthy, I think it's absolutely worth the risk to see if he has anything left. New York Jets and Teddy Bridgewater. Sam, the Miami Dolphins are taking Danny Amendola from division rival New England Patriots. It's a 2-year, $12 million deal. What are your thoughts on Amendola?
Yeah, finally getting them back for that Wes Welker poach all those years ago.
12 years later?
They are getting a cheaper version of the slot receiver they let go out the door with the trade for Jarvis Landry. Amendola is a very good slot weapon. If you add in the playoffs last season, He had the second highest yards per route run in the entire National Football League, 2.05 yards, one of only 3 guys to top that 2-yard barrier in that particular statistical category. Led the league in slot targets, had one of the highest amount of yardage. This is an impressive slot weapon who has incredibly good hands, the ability to make plays inside for them.
And of course, very clutch in the playoffs for the Patriots. Check out all those numbers as part of PFF Elite. It's Danny Amendola to the Miami Dolphins.